Hello again, everybody. Thanks for joining me today for Grace with Paul Gray. The last few days we've been talking about things that we have become woke to, or maybe we haven't, and I've urged you to ask yourself the question, are you woke to this truth or that truth? Today, I want to talk about judgment. Boy, is that a loaded word, and is that a word that religion has done a job on us with? Are you woke to the truth that there is no judgment coming for you or anybody? Are you woke to the truth that judgment did take place once and for all? At the cross, Jesus finished work at the cross. God the Father judged us all righteous, judged us right with God. Jesus, who had never sinned, took our sin upon him and gave us his righteousness. There are several verses in the New Testament that talk about the fact that we have all already been made right with God. Jesus made us right with him. That was the judgment. The judge can judge you right or wrong or innocent or guilty. God, in the only sense that he ever judges us, and Jesus said several times, the Father doesn't judge, I don't judge, we're not going to judge you. If you don't believe, I'm not going to judge you. Because he knew what he was going to do at the cross, which he had already done outside of time and space before eternity. He judged us right with himself. Paul, in Acts chapter 17, was talking to a bunch of Greek philosophers, people who wanted to worship every possible god that they could, so they had all their T's crossed and their I's dotted, and they had statues of all these little gods and stuff. They even had a statue to the unknown God. And Paul said, let me tell you about the God that you don't know yet. And none of them knew him or knew about him. Of course, all the others they thought they knew were all make-believe, fictitious gods. But Paul told them that you already live and move and have your very being in the only true God, Jesus, the Father, and the Holy Spirit. And Paul went on to say that God proved all of this by raising Jesus from the dead and judging us all right with him. Study that sometime. It's an amazing passage. Now, I know people are going to say, well, what about the great white throne judgment? Well, what about it? We know, or at least hopefully you're woke to the fact that we should never make a doctrine out of one single verse in the Bible. We just shouldn't do that. There needs to be several verses along the same line, because we don't know if the Bible, if that particular verse, we don't know if it was translated correctly. We don't know what the original intent was many times, and especially in the book of Revelation, which was written in symbolic form, in allegorical form, like as a play, trying to get across things to Christians that the Romans wouldn't understand at the time. We have no idea what was really meant by the great white throne judgment, but we do know from different things that were said that were written straight out, not as an allegory or symbolically or as a play or anything. We do know straight out that we've already been judged. The night before Jesus died, he said, I'm going to send the Holy Spirit to you, and the Holy Spirit's going to convince you of some different things. Going to convince you of sin or missing the mark of God's perfection, and only in one way is the Holy Spirit going to convince us of that. And he's going to convince us that our sin has already been taken care of, past, present, future. Holy Spirit's going to convince us of righteousness, going to remind us that we are right with God. And the Holy Spirit is going to convince us that judgment has already taken place, and the evil one, or evil, has been judged. That's the only judgment the only bad judgment that there is. We've been judged right with God. The question is, are you woke to that? Many of us aren't, because we've been hammered home that there's going to be this great white throne judgment, and God's a judge sitting on the throne, and he's keeping track of all of our wrongs, and he's going to punish us and all of this kind of stuff. Folks, none of that's true. It's all lies from religion. I want to free you from those lies. And that, I believe, is what God has called me to. A big part of what he's called me to do is to help set you free from the lies and the yoke of religion. There's already been a judgment. It was in your favor. All of you, everyone, you were judged right with God, because God did the judging, and that's what he says. Hope that's helpful. Hope that's freeing to you. See you all next time. Bye-bye.